always believed that no matter how messy life got, family would at least keep the knives away from your back. That belief shattered the moment my sister Jenna tapped her wine glass at the Thanksgiving table and smiled like she had won something. The room fell quiet, and she announced in her sugary voice, "Mom and Dad made a decision. The house is going to me." She didn't even look at me when she added, "Emily won't be getting anything." For a second, the whole dining room burst into praise. Chairs scraped, relatives clapped, someone even whistled like Jenna had just saved the nation. I sat there still, holding the edge of my plate, feeling that familiar sting spreading in my chest, the kind that says, "Here we go again." I placed my fork down slowly and said, "Dad, should I tell them or will you?" The room froze. My father's face drained of color. You could hear the turkey cooling on the table. But to understand that moment, you need to know the history. My family had a perfect reputation. Holiday photos, matching sweaters, stage laughter, a brand new card every Christmas. But behind those photos was a long tradition of quiet favoritism. Jenna was the chosen one since the day she could walk. Dance classes, new dresses, private lessons, everything landed in her lap without effort. I wasn't jealous. I just learned early that in this house, love came with conditions. When I chose to study in Chicago, they called me ungrateful. When Jenna stayed close by, she became the golden daughter. I never complained, even when they forgot to visit me for 4 years straight. The one person who ever saw me fully was my grandmother, Evelyn. She'd take my hands and whisper, "You see people clearly, sweetheart. That's your gift and your curse." Her voice had warmth that this entire family lacked. Thanksgiving was always for her. She passed 2 years ago, and since then the gatherings felt colder, sharper, like everyone was smiling with their teeth, not their hearts. This year felt different from the moment I walked in. My mom hugged me stiffly like she was checking a box. My father wouldn't meet my eyes. And Jenna walked around the house like a queen rehearsing her coronation. Dinner was nearly over when she made that announcement, loud, dramatic, like a reality show reveal. The house was apparently being signed over to her in December. No discussion, no warning, just done. I watched her bask in the attention, every compliment feeding her ego. "You deserve it," they kept saying. "You're the responsible one." Responsible, that word tasted bitter. I was the one who had paid off half their debt silently. I was the one who stayed up nights fixing bills they didn't understand, but Jenna posted family selfies online, so I guess that counted as responsibility. Jenna finally looked at me with a smirk, the kind you only give someone you think is beneath you. "I hope you're okay with it, Em. I mean, you moved away. This house never meant as much to you." My chest tightened. That house was my grandmother's, her garden, her stories, her rocking chair by the window, but they'd rewritten history to make it convenient. So I leaned back, took a breath, and said the line that cracked the whole room open. "Dad, do you want to explain or should I?" His jaw clenched. Mom stared at her plate. Jenna blinked confused for the first time all night. I continued. "Maybe tell them why the house can't go to you. Maybe tell them whose name is already on the deed." There were gasps, chairs shifted. My father whispered, "Emily, don't do this." But I was done protecting people who never protected me. 3 years ago, weeks before my grandmother died, she called me to her bedside. Her voice was weak, but her eyes were fierce. She told me she had rewritten her will. She said, "I don't want kindness punished, and I don't want selfishness rewarded." I didn't understand then. I do now. She left the house to me, not because I was better, not because she loved Jenna less, but because she saw everything, every ignored call, every fake apology, every time Jenna came only when she wanted money or attention. My grandmother saw it all. She chose me because I stayed even when it hurt. When I revealed that truth at the table, chaos erupted. Jenna shot out of her chair shouting that I was lying. Mom asked why I didn't tell them. Dad mumbled something about family harmony. I told them calmly, "Grandma mailed me the documents herself before she passed." Jenna grabbed a merest envelope on the counter, my grandmother's old handwriting on the front, and tore it open. Inside was a letter addressed to me. She read it silently, her face reddening by the second. Then she dropped it on the table like it burned her fingers. The room was dead silent. My grandmother's words were simple. "Emily, this home is yours. Build peace where I could not." Jenna stormed out first, slamming the door so hard the windows rattled. Mom followed her crying. Dad walked to the sink staring at nothing. For once, I wasn't the one breaking. I stood up, walked to the living room, and ran my fingers along the old photograph of Grandma and me in the garden. The house felt different, like it finally recognized me. When I stepped outside into the cold November air, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not victory, not revenge, just release. This time, I wasn't the one being left behind. This time, the truth had chosen me. And sometimes that's the only family you really need. That night, after the house went silent, I sat alone in my car in the driveway. The porch light flickered the way it did when Grandma was alive, like it was waiting for me to come inside. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from everything that had been buried inside me finally forcing its way out. Thanksgiving was supposed to be a warm holiday, but all I felt was a coldness that didn't come from the November wind. It came from the realization that my family wasn't shocked because I owned the house. They were shocked because they never believed I mattered enough to be chosen. I drove slowly home, the roads empty and my mind crowded. Every mile felt like I was peeling off another layer of guilt I didn't deserve to carry. That night I didn't cry, I didn't break down, I just sat on my couch replaying every moment from my childhood where I stayed quiet to keep peace that was never mine to hold. The next morning my phone buzzed, 15 missed calls, all from Dad. I didn't answer. I needed silence, real silence, not the kind where people pretend everything is fine. By 10 a.m. a message came from Mom. "We need to talk. Jenna's very upset." I stared at the screen for a long time. Of course Jenna was upset. She had lost something that was never hers. I didn't reply. At noon, Dad finally showed up at my apartment unannounced. He looked older, tired, like the weight of all the secrets he had hidden was finally crushing him. He sat across from me and didn't speak for a full minute. Then he said the
the one thing I never expected to hear. Your grandmother trusted you more than any of us. I didn't know what to say, he continued, voice rough. She told me if I ever changed the well or tried to influence it, she'd make sure I regretted it. She gave a broken laugh. She knew me too well. So that was it. They hadn't told me about the house because they hoped the truth would die with her. They thought I'd move on, disappear into Chicago life, never ask questions. Dad rubbed his face. I'm not proud of how we acted. Your mother is embarrassed. Jenna, she feels replaced. Replaced, the word hit me like a brick. I wasn't trying to replace anyone. I just wanted the truth to stand where lies had ruled for too long. I said quietly, why didn't anyone ever choose me, even once? Dad's eyes filled. I had seen this man angry, frustrated, stubborn, but never ashamed. He said, because we got used to you being strong. You never demanded anything. Jenna, she always needed reassurance. You didn't. I shook my head. That's not strength, that's survival. He nodded slowly, painfully. I'm sorry, Emily, truly, we failed you. Hearing those words didn't fix anything, but it cracked something open, a tiny space where healing could one day grow. Dad left after an hour, promising to talk to Mom and Jenna. I didn't expect miracles, but at least the truth was finally out in the open. 3 days passed before Jenna showed up. She didn't knock gently, she pounded the door like she wanted the whole building to know she had arrived. When I opened it, her eyes were swollen, mascara smudged, but her chin was held high. Can we talk? She asked, voice tight. I let her in. She didn't sit, she paced, arms crossed, as if she was trying to keep herself from falling apart. Why didn't she choose me? She whispered. She was my favorite. Everyone said so. I exhaled slowly. Finally, the real wound. She didn't choose me over you, I said. She chose fairness over fakery. She saw things no one else wanted to see. She stopped pacing. You think I didn't love her? No, I said gently. I think you loved her when it was convenient. She flinched like I had slapped her, but it was the truth. The truth she had avoided for years. Tears welled up in her eyes again. Everything has always been given to me. I thought this would be too. And there it was, the thing she had never admitted out loud. I stepped closer. Grandma didn't punish you. She protected you from depending on people forever. For the first time in her life, Jenna didn't argue. She just whispered, I don't know who I am without being the favorite. My anger softened, not because she deserved forgiveness, but because for the first time she was honest. We talked for an hour. Really talked, not as rivals, not as sisters fighting for attention, just two women raised in a house that taught them love was something you earned, not something you're given. When she left, she hugged me. A real hug, the first one in years. I didn't forgive everything, some ones take time, but for the first time I felt like maybe the cycle could end here. The next week, I drove to my grandmother's house, my house. I walked through the rooms, touching the walls she painted, the shelves she dusted, the table where she taught me how to write my name. It didn't feel like a prize anymore, it felt like a responsibility. She hadn't left me a home, she had left me a legacy. As I stood in her garden, winter sunlight touching the frozen soil, I whispered, I'll do better, I'll break what you couldn't. And for the first time since her passing, I felt her presence, not in the house, not in the memories, but inside me. The truth had cost me a family for a moment, but it had given me myself forever.